Hello everyone! This module is about finding relevant and appropriate information sources throughout your research process. Today, we're going to start with an exercise to help us think about where we usually go to find information in our day-to-day lives. So, let's start with this point of view activity. We're going to go through 3 situations, and on a piece of paper, you should take notes on what you think the correct answer might be. Your answers won't be recorded, but working through these exercises with the video and taking notes might come in handy for the quiz at the end of the tutorial. Let's get started. I'm visiting my friend in Boston, Massachusetts, and want to prepare for my trip by planning an itinerary. If I want to visit all the places special to my friend and visit local spots, where would I go to find a list of locations? A. Google. B. City of Boston website. C. Subject matter expert, my friend. D. Library databases, or E. Books. Take a few seconds to think of the answer. Feel free to pause the video at any time to think about your responses. Great! In this case, since I would like to see my friend's favorite spots around Boston, she would be the subject matter expert, so it would make sense to go to her first. If for some reason she didn't immediately answer my phone call or text and I still wanted to get started on my itinerary, I could perhaps go to Google or the City of Boston website for a place to start, but it would still make sense to go directly to my friend for her favorite spots. Now, I'm still planning my itinerary to visit my friend in Boston, Massachusetts, but this time I'm looking for background information on the history of the city and how the architecture of its historic buildings have been influenced by its founding. Where do you think I should go to find some sources? A. Google. B. City of Boston website. C. Subject matter expert, my friend. D. Library databases, or E. Books. What are your thoughts? We often go to Google for quick answers and facts, and the City of Boston website is very likely to have sources to Boston-based websites, so that might be another place to start. My friend, depending on if she's native to Boston or not, might also have some information on this, but it's very hard to be an expert on the history of a city if you're not a historian. Both library databases and books have tons of information, and there's a very high likelihood that those sources have specialized information about U.S. history. Now, I just returned from visiting my friend in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm assigned a 5-page research paper about the relationship between architecture and United States history, along with my opinion on this topic. If I need scholarly sources for this assignment, where should I look? A. Google. B. City of Boston website. C. Subject matter expert, my friend. D. Library databases, or E. Books. Great job! Since we're looking for scholarly sources, library databases and books would be great places to start. If you're unsure about how to use either of these, feel free to ask a librarian. Even though in all of these situations we are talking about the same trip to Boston, the answers for the best information source varied for each. As the context changed, so did our decision. We make choices every day on where to go for information. Some of these decisions, like where is the nearest coffee shop, are pretty easy, but when we start long research projects, the decisions get a little bit trickier. When thinking about the information sources we might need for a research project, it's helpful to start with the information timeline. This refers to the idea that information is dispersed through different source types as the time after an event passes. Immediately after an event, we hear basic information: who, what, where, when. In the weeks, months, and years after the event, the information we hear becomes more detailed and analytical. Let's go through the information timeline together. First things first, the event. Something happens. Then, after an event occurs, it only takes seconds for it to be all over social media, and then a few more hours or days for newspapers to report on it. Both social media and newspapers have very general audiences, so you can easily read these posts or articles with little to no background knowledge on the topic. However, anyone can publish these, so it's important to take a look at who the author is. Later, magazines and trade publications begin to disseminate information. Trade publications are best described as magazines that focus on a specific trade or profession with the latest updates. They're usually written by professionals for professionals. Popular magazines and trade publications can both have general audiences, but trade publications are usually full of field-based jargon. So unless you worked in that industry, you might not know every term. Additionally, some trade publications are peer-reviewed, so they can be scholarly. Next, academic journal articles and books are published. Because so much time has passed between the event and the publication date, this means the information published in these types of sources are very thorough and analytical. Both of these information types have pretty specialized audiences, which include professors, subject matter experts, and students, like yourself. Finally, websites can be published at any time, though they are sometimes wildcards because anyone can write anything on the internet. Choosing an information source can be tricky, but knowing the type of information you are likely to get from different source types can help you narrow down where to go. If your assignment requires a scholarly or academic source, your best bets would be to find a trade publication, an academic journal article, or a book. While not a guarantee, these information sources can be scholarly, and this is exactly where the library comes in. Our databases and library catalog help you to find each of those types of sources. Explore the following modules to figure out how our resources do that.